Chambers Academy Sports Live Coaches Show with Coach Jason Allen. We're sponsored by Farmers and Merchants Bank, and this is take two.
That's right.
If you were watching earlier, you might have seen just a little bit of a technical difficulty. But we are here live at Monty Albon with our Coaches Show. And alongside, as always, my partner, Chester Carter. Chester, I'm so glad you're here. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, Sid, great to get underway here, and glad we've worked out that audio issue there, just one setting, and taken care of by our trustee director there, Kent, filling in for Dave. He's down in Hope Hall coaching the Lady Rebels down there at a volleyball game. So,
well, I'm really happy to have Kent here. I mean, really happy to have him taking over for us tonight and solving our problems and getting us underway. So Now that we've got those little missteps out of the way, we'll go on with the show. And earlier in the first intro, we did mention being here at Monty Albon and always being sponsored by these guys. We really love Luis and Roxana for taking care of us and always having us up here. We also mentioned Taffney Nelson. Taffney does such a good job for us, and all her hard work with the logo that we did here behind us and with the other electronic arts kind of things that she does. She's awesome. It's always early. It's never on time. It's always early, and we really do appreciate her.
Yeah, she takes care of all the game day posters for all the sports, volleyball, football, everything. Right. Greatly appreciate all she does. And capturing those moments for everybody is the great memories we're building at CA.
And you did mention 2-3 Collective.
Yeah, 2-3 Collective did a great job in setting up this tablecloth here, this cover here, as well as all of our new shirts. So we greatly appreciate Chris Strength and all the folks down there at 2-3 Collective.
Well, we always talk about it. We couldn't do this without sponsors. And we have people who really, they're dedicated to Chambers Academy, and they're really incredibly good to us. So we appreciate you guys. We try to mention as often as we can. And if we miss you, it's not out of a lack of appreciation. We'll try to get back and do that better.
Yep.
Well, tonight we've got our normal show, and I'll just give everybody a quick rundown. Just a reminder. We have 4 segments. We'll talk about the region win. We'll talk about week 5 against Banks Academy. We'll talk to Coach Dillon. We'll talk to Coach Allen. We will also review just briefly some of the activities we're looking for from Bessemer Academy. We'll go over some breakdowns of what we expect from them and what they have done in this so far this season. And then our last segment, we'll announce our impact player of the game. So we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I think you have some wonderful stats for us to get into tonight.
Yeah, we'll get into those here in the next segment. Yeah, but so we're going to recap all the stuff that happened last Friday up at Banks. It was a exciting game up there. Great venue to have a football game at, and folks are very welcoming up there. So we greatly appreciate the folks at Mountain Brook High for allowing us to go up there and set up and everything and get that game underway.
Well, we had some help getting some of our setup facilities underway, and we really appreciated that help. Yeah, those stats, we'll get into those later, but I really appreciate you taking the time to put those together. There's some very telling numbers in here, and I think at the end of this conversation about stats between the two of us and with the coaches, people will see how hard it is to pick the players of the game when we have games like this.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So the kids played lights out last Friday. It was an exciting game, and we'll jump into those stats here in a second. And but no, we just want to, again, thanks Roxana and Luis for having us up here. So make sure you put it on your calendar every Thursday. Well, actually, next Thursday, we won't have a coach's show. That's the bye week for us. Right. So we're going to take a break that week, and then we'll come back the following Thursday, 7 o'clock, Monty Albon. We'll be here for the coach's show. But hey, we're halfway through the season, and so it's exciting times here at CA. So we're going to take a break here and have a word from our sponsors, and we'll come back to you, and we'll get into some of those stats from the Banks game.
Farmers and Merchants Bank, established in 1934, is your friendly hometown bank. With 3 convenient locations in Dadeville, Hughley, and beautiful Lafayette, Alabama, Farmers and Merchants is ready to serve your personal and business banking needs. Great rates, great service. Farmers and Merchants is ready to serve. Give them a call at 334-864-9941. Farmers and Merchants Bank, proud supporters of Chambers Academy.
All right, folks, and welcome back here to Monty Albon here for the Coaches Show with Jason Allen. We were told you we were going to step into some stats, and let's jump right into them. We're going to do a recap of last week's victory, 67-18. Quite impressive victory up there against the Banks Jets.
A lot of stats.
Yeah, a lot of stats, so just bear with us here. We're going to get through these and get some good call-outs here for some hard work from those kids. But to start the game off last week, the Jets took the kick. They won the toss, and they took the kick. First play from scrimmage, they just take a 78-yard pass down the near side and just walk in for a touchdown. Right. Kind of set the little weird vibe right there, that first play, thinking, whoa, maybe we're in for something here that we really didn't expect, so we kind of shocked the, fans. But one thing that was very apparent was the kids, they were not affected at all. They were very professional out there.
Well, as we sat there, I don't think there was a sense of panic by anybody, but it was shock. There was a shock of like, that's not the way we thought this was going to start. And, it's a hostile environment, and you don't want to get in a situation where you've got to change your game plan to try to play catch-up.
Right.
Because we certainly weren't expecting to do that. And as it turns out, we didn't do that.
No, the kids came back, responded on the next drive, and that is where the Rebels took over the game.
Right.
Their first offensive series. They never looked back. They matched the Jets immediately, drove down the field, impressive drive, and the Jets got a taste of the Rebel rushing attack. Not much passing going on last week. Didn't have to rely on that. They had some impressive numbers rushing. The Rebels went for 479 yards. Right. They averaged about 14 yards a carry. Luke Tarver led the rushing attack with 19 carries, 191 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jacob Norgard was right on his heels with 8 carries, 129 yards, and 4 TDs. Landon Hand got in the mix, 3 carries, 48 yards, and a touchdown. And, of course, Eli Wharton has got to get his hands on the ball and run through some folks. He had 2 carries for 35 yards.
And, as we'll go a little bit deeper into some of these stats, it's a good time for us to maybe mention how difficult it was for us to pick the offensive player of the game last week. If you look down that list, it was incredibly tough to come up with how we wanted to make that pick. And I think we came to the conclusion that the entire offensive line, the tight ends and the wideouts, who just did a great job of blocking. And you said a key thing in my mind there. After that drive, when we received the ball, the game really switched because people were being blown off the line.
Yeah.
And we march downfield and we score, but we also get the 2-point conversion. So we're up 8-6 right away. And I think another thing that happened shortly after that, and I know we're going to get into some defensive stuff in just a second, a big interception really put that offense back into position to turn it on again. And our line play was just really incredible across the board.
Yeah, that offensive line and even the wideouts, out there, they opened up some lanes for Jacob and Luke just to gash that entire defense. Yeah. It was impressive. And the vantage point that we had looking down on the field just, told the story so well. When you look down there and there's just massive avenues to run through there. So the running backs did a great job at taking advantage of that.
There are a few plays that we really were kind of just taken aback at how big the hole was. There was nobody within 5 yards of running backs. And then, I think it was a 2-point conversion with Luke. He could have walked into the end zone and he decided to throw it. He could have done either one, and he just pitched the ball. So it was an amazing display of offensive firepower in my mind. I think the game plan was incredibly solid. I mean, we had 35 yards of passing, 7 for 7, so we were throwing short passes. And it was just it was an amazing night to see this offense click really on all cylinders. And again, I come back to the fact that I think it begins on the line of scrimmage, and that's we just own the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and that's an important part of the game there. When they got control of that, there was no way. And something that we were also looking at was the matchup, the size of the kids.
Right.
It was a pretty even matchup. It wasn't like the week before where the kids were smaller and undersized. These were, good-sized kids on the line, and they were getting pushed 4 or 5 yards each direction once contact was made.
Well, when we look at the offense, when I went back and watched, as I try to do during the game through the binoculars, look at some of the line play, there were guys on their back, and there were guys really being hammered outside and being knocked down. I go back to a play. I think there was a buck sweep maybe that was run, and they had 2 guys in the corner, and Ford just destroyed one guy, but he was the only guy there, and the other guy did make a tackle. So it was like even when they made a good play, somebody got on the ground. So it was just a dominant night. And, we can say that 1,000 times. It's not going to change the outcome. It was just an overpowering play by this offensive line. And the running backs did a great job.
Yeah. And so let's flip on the other side of the ball. The defense was lights out again. Got to say they're the best defense in 2A, right now from what we see. Defense was led by Drew Shepard. He had 5 tackles, 1 sack. TJ Daniel came in with 3 tackles, 1 sack. Ryan Smith, 3 tackles, 1 sack, and the big punt block was huge. Eli Wharton, 2 tackles, 1 sack. And Kyle Hand, you mentioned earlier, he had 1 tackle but 1 big interception that just continued to pile on against the Jets.
Well, it was one of those things that as we watched the game, so many people were in the backfield. So many people were making big hits at the line. And in my mind, as I looked through the film the next day, I mean, there are only, a handful of positive plays. I mean, they did score on 2 pass plays. So give them credit for getting that ball up and making the pitch catch. But running-wise, it was just a really tough night against this defense. And, look, I would agree with what you're saying. I mean, we're not coaches, we're not talent evaluators, but this defense is playing at a level that we probably haven't seen around here for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an outstanding group.
Yeah, and we're going to also look at some other numbers about the defense, how they stack up against the region here in a second. But we just wanted to mention the defensive player of the game. How hard was that to call?
Well, you remember the multiple conversations, and, you look at that list. Everyone on that list has a sack. There's punt blocks. There's interceptions. There's multiple tackles. It was very tough. I will be honest with you. We could have picked multiple guys, but we did pick our defensive player of the game, Ryan Smith, with 3 tackles, a sack, and a big punt block. So I don't think you can go wrong with that. I don't think you could have gone wrong with 2 or 3 other picks, but we wanted to try to narrow down. We're trying to get to that point where we do narrow. We could not do that on the offensive side. I just didn't feel we had a chance there. But the defensive side was also tough this week.
Yeah, but just an outstanding performance on both sides of the ball. So congratulations to Ryan Smith on the defensive player and the entire O-line for the offensive players of the game.
And you know what this does? This leaves only one award that we haven't mentioned, and we'll do that at the end of the show, and that's our impact player of the game.
Yeah, look forward to that in the last segment of the show. So let's try to talk about how the team stacks up year to date. Right now the Rebels are 4-1 overall, 1-0 in the region. We're at the midway point of the season. Can't believe we're already here. No so the offense is averaging about 40 points a game, and the defense is holding their opponents to 12 points or, on average each game. So that's a pretty good combination for victories right there when you look at you're putting 40 points up and only letting the other teams put up 12.
Well, that's good balance. I mean, you've got your offense obviously able to score and scoring a lot, and you've got your defense playing great. I think we looked back to, some numbers with Coach last week. It's just like 2 touchdowns, I think, from the first unit, and then I think Banks did get 2 against this unit. Yeah. But we're in Game 5, and we had 4 touchdowns scored against the front line, so that's an incredible number. Yeah,
and just to break down some of those rushing stats here for mid-year right now, Luke Tarver, 64 carries, 602 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaging over 9 yards a touch. Jacob Norgard, 53 carries, 587 yards, and 10 touchdowns, looking at 11 yards a touch. So right now, the Rebels are on pace to have 2 1,000-yard backs. That's amazing.
Well, and also, if you throw this in there, Luke missed a game.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing set of numbers. And the touchdown balance there is just it's amazing. These guys have the ability, in my humble opinion, they can get to the corner with a burst of quickness and a burst of power that's been really overwhelming to opposing defenses. And we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk to Coach D about how you face an offense like that when you're on the defensive side of the ball, because it's got to be tough to handle those 2 guys coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, it is. So tomorrow night, Torbert Allen Field, the Rebels are going to go against the Rebels, the Bessemer Rebels. The Bessemer is 1-3 overall, 1-2 in their region. They're in 3A, so this is a non-region game. They're actually in 6th place in AAA, and they got their first victory last week against Monroe, won by 7 points, 29-22. So we need to get the Torbert Allen Field packed out tomorrow to blow the Rebels, from Bessemer all the way back home to Birmingham. So come on down, make your plans to get down there and cheer on the CA Rebels. The Bessemer defense is giving up 35 points a game.
Yeah.
So kind of a weak defense if you want to be honest about that. And the offense is only putting up about 17 points a game.
And I think your point about the common opponent that we talked about early, Bessemer played Banks. Banks won. 40-30. So it's just an amazing look at like opponents after we go up there and dominate the way we did last week.
Yeah, and Chambers leads the series against Bessemer, three games to one. Played them only 4 times.
Right.
Last year, CA won up in Bessemer, 42-6, dominating game. I think Luke Tarver had a great game last year up there in Bessemer. So the only loss that we had to Bessemer was in the 2019 campaign. We lost to them here at home, 42-20.
Right.
So that's the only loss that the Rebels have ever had against the Bessemer Rebels. So we talked about the common opponent, Banks. Banks won that matchup that was their first game of the season. So hey, should be a good game. You looked at some of the real quick film of Bessemer. They got some pretty good size, So hopefully, that they don't get too manhandle us any, but I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Well, I would almost guarantee that both our coaches are going to say, we got to play the game. They're not going to say this one's a walk. We're going to say we're not going to do anything other than what we do. We're going to play these guys tough. Whatever they do, we're going to try to stop it. Whatever they try to stop, we're going to try to go. So I think that's what you hear from both our coaches tonight.
Yeah. So it should be a great time tomorrow down at Torbert Allen Field. We got 2 class reunions coming in. The class of '83, it's their 40th reunion, and the class of 2003, it's their 20th. So come down and celebrate with those folks, and let's come down there and celebrate a win for CA tomorrow down at Torbert Allen Field. It should be a good evening, nice weather. Couldn't ask for much better thing to do on a Friday evening here in East Alabama.
And look, we love having our alumni back. We just had our 50th there, and it was a great reception. My class, all of us loved the emotion and the affection and all the stuff that goes into the family of Chambers Academy. And you feel it. We certainly felt it. We are somewhat loud and obnoxious at times. So, we don't mind speaking our minds and things like that. But we really loved being there. And I think it's a testament to this family how much we support our alumni and how much more we want to do. We're always talking about how to build that alumni base and do better things with our alumni.
Yeah, so good times. Make plans tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Come down Torbert Allen Field, cheer on the CA Rebels. Want to real quick thank Monty Albin
Absolutely.
and the staff here. They do a great job hosting everything every Thursday night. So come down here as well on Thursday, 7 o'clock through the end of the season, and we're going to have the coaches show. So always a good time with that. So we also want to thank Farmers and Merchants for sponsoring the show tonight and all season long. So we're going to take a break from some of our other sponsors, and we'll come back with Coach D.
Thanks, Justin.
Craving some Mexican food? Do not think about it twice. Come visit us at Monema number 3, located Highway 77, 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama. We have the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, farmer specials, north specials, sherry specials, delicious salsa, the best salsa in Chambers County. Do not think about it. And also can meet the Chihuahua, Monema number 3.
Shepherd Homeworks, established in 2004, headquartered in beautiful Lafayette, Alabama, serving East Alabama, Lake Martin, and West Georgia. At Shepherd Homeworks, we specialize in custom cabinets and millwork built in our very own cabinet shop. Contact Stephen Shepherd at 334-234-1180 to make your dreams. State Farm agent Mike Spears is your local and trusted insurance agent. Contact Mike Spears at 334-864-8772 for all of your insurance needs, home, auto, life, and more. You can also stop by Mike's office and see him at 401 South Lafayette Street, Lafayette, Alabama, on the 4-lane. State Farm agent Mike Spear, proud supporter of Rebel Athletics. Go Rebels!
Welcome back, everyone. We're glad to have you here with us tonight. We're here with Coach Dillon, Coach, kind of a big night last Friday night. Like to hear your opinion of how that game went.
And it was a great game. The guys played well. They were excited to play. I think that you kind of felt that fall weather creep in, and that cool breeze was just there was just something in the air, and our guys were, we just felt like our guys were ready to play.
I really second that because it was such a good night, and it's a great facility up there.
Yeah, it was.
We really enjoyed being there,
Yeah.
and it was just one of those nights. As you heard us talking about these stats, I mean, Chester's got an awful lot of really good information here. We'll talk about some of them in detail, but
Okay.
You and I have talked about this, and Chester, about how hard our picks are for your defensive player of the game.
Yeah.
Well, last week was really hard. I mean, it's not getting a lot easier. I know you like that, but
Yeah.
you had some guys really play out of their mind Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, it really just starts with those four up front. I mean, those guys have been unstoppable all year, and that just sets up great things like we've talked about. I just can't tell you how proud I am of those four guys up front. They just everybody's playing well, but those guys are just, it's the best defensive line in the state. I've watched a lot of teams across the state, and there's not a group of four that's playing better than those four right there.
No doubt.
And so and we've talked about it. That's what really sets the tempo.
Me and Sid were talking earlier. How, from a defensive side of the ball there, do you keep the kids engaged and continue to want more when they're out there dominating like that?
Well, something that we've done is those guys have gotten so good at just playing their base defense that we've tried. The guys are getting comfortable with being able to mix it up and give just get a little bit more creative, and
that's kind of what we were thinking. Is maybe are you adding some more schemes in there?
We're trying to hold some things in our back pocket. We're trying to look in the present, and while also kind of focus on who we may see in the future. So we're working on things just to kind of change up, so we're not so stagnant, which you've heard me say before. We don't want to just be stagnant. We
want to continue to have them grow and learn more each time they're out there, right?
Yeah, one thing you don't want to be able to just turn on the tape and know exactly what you're going to see, and so we're trying to be a little bit more creative in that department. When you can do that, when you got guys that understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish, that's what we have.
And you're talking about those four guys up front. It seems like from where we're watching the game from, the back end just continues to follow their lead, and they're learning from those guys up front, and they're starting to anticipate things more and be in the right place at the right time. Kind of like a little bit of instinct. They're getting a little more aware of things as the play develops. We've from game one to now, you're seeing some just improvement of positioning, throughout the game, and it's great to watch. We're just wondering, when you look forward, how our biggest thing was how do you keep them so engaged when they're getting out there and still, be confident but still be humble, in the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you know that they can't run the ball because of those guys up front, the DBs can be more key to stop the passing game and not have to help on, being help with the run game. So they can get a little bit looser, and they can we can loosen the guys up and really kind of get after the quarterback up front and play pass. When you stop the run and make them one-dimensional, it's extremely, it makes it a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
For the defense.
One of the things that I think about Friday night, I try to stay in the binoculars, and look down the line and see these guys on the line. And I did not see a lot of our guys getting blocked. I mean, we really just didn't get blocked very often. And I mean, not out of the play. I mean, like really effectively blocked in position.
No, yeah. I mean.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you, it also looked to me like our guys are getting better with their hands.
They are.
They move people so much better than I think they did in the opening game. They just seem to be growing and getting a lot of confidence in how to play their position.
Yeah, using your hands is huge up front. When you got guys that are violent with their hands, don't let the offensive lineman engage you. You engage the offensive lineman, and you set the tempo and you set the pace to how you're going to play. And they're playing sound. We're not just doing things willy-nilly. Everybody is playing
Right.
has a sound responsibility, and they're all doing it
Right,
at
it's-
extremely high level. Extremely high level.
It's not like a sandlot game where dominant athletes just run around doing whatever they want. You can see that these guys play together, they communicate well, and they really play their schemes with real great discipline
Yeah.
from an outsider view. For us looking in the press box and not really knowing the depths of the schemes, I mean, it looks like they just know how to stay at home. They know how to get get the offensive line's hands away from them,
Yeah.
and make tackles. I mean, we had such good tackling. I was really impressed by that front group and the linebackers.
Yeah, well, I mean, our defensive linemen are athletic enough to where they understand where the ball's trying to go based off where the lineman is blocking them. And so they understand that, and that's a hard concept to teach a young person, and they understand it, and they bought into it exactly the way we're teaching it.
Absolutely.
And it's showing on the field. Those guys are just playing out of their mind.
Just so that we don't miss this, I do want to talk about the opening play, the 78-yarder. Busted assignment, something that caught us off guard. What was the story there?
We underestimated their speed.
Okay.
A lot. We told the guys that number 8 can scat, number eight can fly, guys. So it was just an underestimation.
He just ran a fly, right? He just left the line and kept running.
It was it.
Okay.
It was 4 verts, and they threw it up to their fastest guy, and it was a great ball. When he first let it go, I was like, man, he overthrew him, but it was a busted coverage, but he overthrew him. We'll be all right, and that's something going to walked it down.
Well,
and it was on stride, and it was on time. The next one, the next deep ball that was on their sideline, that was a busted play. That was an offensive play. That was a run play.
Right, sure.
The receivers were blocking, and so our corners were doing right. They read their keys. They saw them blocking,
Absolutely,
and so they were filling in the lanes. They had linemen 7 or 8 yards down the field.
And just threw the ball up.
And just threw it up. And so, we got on to the referee. That's a hard call to make in the game,
Sure.
When you go back and look at it on the film, I didn't see it when it was happening live. I go back and look at it on the sideline, and I'm like,
I think you and I had a conversation about how that play was a busted play, and then it just worked at the end of the play. So that's how that can come about.
Yeah,
But from that, what I really was happy to see was the entire team's poise. I mean, we got the ball, drove down and scored, got the 2-point conversion. Then
that opening drive that we had offensively really set the pace and the tempo of how the game was. You give up that huge touchdown, and you see that they can play a little bit, and to respond with it was probably a 10, 11 play drive, just maybe not even that many, but just down the field. And I went back and watched that game again today. And we really did. We guys played well both ways, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, the team did not waver. They knew they knew they got burned on the play. They went back, thought about it, knew where they got burned, regrouped, and came out there with poise and professionalism. Drove down the field and gave it right back to them. And you could tell there was no panic. It was just, hey, we got a job to do, and they got it done. It was very impressive.
Yeah, very seldomly do you see a high school team beat you with just drop back passing game.
Absolutely.
The team that runs the football the best wins the ball game majority of the time. And so we know that, and so we didn't panic. The kids didn't panic. Aiden came over and said, "My bad, coach. He's faster than I thought." And
boy, don't you appreciate that? Just like, I'm going to go play now.
Yeah. And I said, I maybe dogged him out a little bit, and then I said, "It's like, get back in there," and
And he played well the rest of the night.
He did.
He did.
He made a really good play on their sideline.
When we were watching the game there too, you're in that hostile environment. You see that throw. We come down and drive, and they get the ball back. And we have an interception immediately. Put us in great field position. To me, that was really a real important play in the game.
It was, and it was a play that we really practiced on all week. Kyle did a great job. We talked to him about it. Usually we give him a little cushion with that stick route, and but he we told him we're going to be aggressive this week, and he jumped on it.
Oh,
and
he
played
made a great
it,
catch.
read it like a book, and. It was a great play, and it just really you could feel the momentum change.
We talked about that. We talked about how it just felt like the air went out of that defense. Like, oh no,
yeah,
they're going to do that.
Yeah,
that was a big play. It was a big play, really it set up us to go up.
Well,
another score.
Well, here's something that we wanted to point out for you, that the defense has only given up 58 points in 5 games.
Yeah.
The next closest team to that is Hooper, and they've given up 99. So
Okay.
you guys are playing some phenomenal
Yeah.
defense. So that's just something that, best defense in 2A all around. I went through there and trying to find some stuff like who's, better defense, and I can't find anybody close to you guys.
And I've been thinking about it, just thinking about this defense compared to some defenses that we've had in the past. And we've had some pretty good defenses. I would say probably in 2018, we had a really, really stout defense that year. But I would say this group rivals that. This is a scrappy bunch, man. We got guys that are, physical, violent, just mean.
There's a lot of aggression across the board.
Yeah.
It's not. Look, there's a lot of aggression on the line. There's a lot of aggression at the linebackers.
There
If
is,
you move
man.
into the secondary, you're going to get popped.
There's no doubt.
It really does kind of transcend the positions. It's just a great aggressive group. And I really like the idea that they were disciplined. They really came back and played disciplined football. Nothing shook them. None of the stuff that's going on the sidelines, none of the talking bothered, it seemed like, anybody. They just really played well. And I really liked watching our guys. I saw a play with Austin, and the ball carrier had the ball, and he wasn't down, and Austin kept playing. He put him on the ground, but it wasn't violent. It wasn't rough. It was a good football play, and he helped the kid up. So I think that's the way you play it.
Yeah, no doubt. We knock them on their butt and pick them up.
Yeah. I thought it was just an outstanding night. When we look at Bessemer, as you are getting ready to go to that game, anything stand out in your mind that you're aware of guarding against out of the ordinary?
Yeah, a lot. They're a good team, man. They got – if you just watch them on film and you didn't, know anything about them, you'd think, man, I don't know why this team is 1-3, because they got all the makings to be a good football team. And this has all the makings to be an upset game. Coming off a huge victory.
Right.
Coming back home, kind of let your guard down against a 1-3 team. And they got athletes. They're big. They're got a quarterback that can throw the ball. One or two turnovers or one or two big plays.
Absolutely.
And it can really swing things.
I remember last year they unloaded well. Even though they were at home, they unloaded the dressing room really well.
They did.
They came out with big kids, and they were athletic, and we did beat them up pretty good. But I think you mentioned that you don't want to fall into the trap game. You don't want to come out and think about last week, because I know that you and Coach Allen are going to, and Coach Jackson and everybody else are going to be saying, this is a different week.
Yeah.
Start from zero, and let's go play our game.
Yeah, we're not just trying to. We want to be the best in the state. We don't want to just be the best, in our division or just 2A. We want to be the best 1A, 2A,
Absolutely.
3A. So if that's truly what we want to do, we just got to continue to get better every week.
We talked about the young guys that are on this defense, and you do have young guys mixed in with some veterans. Do you see upside this year to this team on the defensive side of the ball?
What do you mean?
Upside. Are they going to play better? Are they going to get better from here?
I would like to think so. I would like to think we could get better. We're playing at an extremely high level.
Yeah, and
if we can continue to get better, who knows?
We'll be hard to handle.
We could get better at some things. Some things we're playing exactly right. There's no other way to put it. But we're going to see better. We're going to see better competition as the year goes through. So we'll see.
Yeah, because we got the non-region game, then we got a bye week.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 region games back to back.
Yep.
2 are at home, and then 1 on the road, and then we finish up with Glenwood at home. So got the half the season under our belt. The defense is looking sharp. The sky's the limit with those guys. You guys have got them humming in the right direction. So
it's gone by fast.
It has.
It's gone by really fast.
Really
Yeah,
has.
halfway through.
It always does. It's kind of sad.
But hey, great start so far for the defense, and
Thank you,
look
guys.
forward to tomorrow night down there at Torbert Allen Field. So make your plans, get down there and cheer on the Rebels, the CA Rebels.
Yeah,
That's right.
we'll do that like all night long. So we'll try
right.
to figure it out. Coach, thank you for being here. And
Thank you, guys.
I look forward to tomorrow night as well as Chester. And like we always say, whoever they run out, whatever scheme they run out, we're going to play.
Yeah, we're going to line up and play football, and we're glad to be at the house.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
Yes.
for being here.
Yes, sir.
We'll take a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
The Pig, Highway 50, Lafayette, Alabama. The Pig, the best meats in town. Beef, chicken, and pork. The Pig, the freshest breads and dairy and produce across Chambers County. Down home, down the street. The Pig, where customer service is number one. Piggly Wiggly, Highway 50, Lafayette, Alabama. Proud supporters of your Chambers Academy Rebels. DTA, Daniel Towing and Automotive. Need a tow? Need some mechanical work? Contact Lee and Sandy Daniel at 334-863-4252. Serving East Alabama and West Georgia. You call, we haul. DTA, Daniel Towing and Automotive. Proud supporters of Rebel Athletics. DTA Towing.
All right, folks, and welcome back here to the Chambers Academy Sports Live Coaches Show with Coach Jason Allen. Coach, it's great to have you here on this Thursday before the matchup between Bessemer and CA tomorrow here at home. Great to be back at home. Been on the road for too many weeks, I think. Kind of tired, but it's great to be back here and looking forward to the game tomorrow night here at Torbert Allen Field. So kind of want to ask you a little bit about last week and your perspective of the game and how the offense and just overall team handled themselves up there.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Chester, we played really well last Friday night. I was very excited about the way our kids responded. We had a lot of fun. I mean, that's what it's about, is having fun. Right before the game, there was a hint of fall in the air, a cool breeze, and our kids got to whooping and yelling and jumping around. And I said, look here, we might play pretty well tonight. And, of course, we kick it off. And first play of the game, they throw that 78-yard touchdown pass. But I wasn't real concerned. I had a little bit of lump in my throat then, but it went down pretty quick. And I wasn't concerned because I didn't think they could stop us. And I tell you what, from an offensive standpoint, we really did some really good things Friday night. That's as well as we played in a while. It's like our kids fit up our offensive line plays incredible. Coach Kyle Jackson is just doing a great job. He always does a great job getting those guys to play hard. And Banks didn't have a clue where the football was, and we were hitting them in the mouth. And we put the ball in the air less than we have, and that was kind of by design. They were so athletic. When you put the ball in the air, you give them a chance to make plays, but they didn't really necessarily like the hitting them in the mouth part.
One of the things that we said early on in the game, midway of the first quarter, we just said, I think we'll just keep running this until they figure out how to at least slow it down. I don't think they're going to stop it, and they didn't.
Yeah. Well, our game plan was to add a ton of misdirection to our run game, and I thought we did a great job of that. We looked crisp. Things were hitting on time. We were getting downhill, and a lot of eye candy that we involved in our plays. We involved some tempo. We run some tempo at times where we're getting back to the line and we're running a play, and they weren't ready for that. I thought that was really good for us, and, our kids just had a great time, and we took care of football. We didn't turn it over.
Right. We talked about with Coach Dillon the defensive line play, and I said to him, I thought our kids really dominated the line of scrimmage from the get-go. I mean, nobody really couldn't block them out of the play, but they really couldn't sustain a block on the line. The kids had their hands on these guys. They were moving them, and our defensive line really dominated the Banks line of scrimmage the entire night. The quarterback got the first throw away, but he didn't have a lot of time, and it just went downhill from there.
Yep. We've dominated every game we've played this year on the defensive line, and that's where it starts defensively. I really like our two interior tackles. I really like our two sophomore ends. They're playing really well. And then at the linebacker spot, Ryan Ford, Luke Tarver, even Kyle Hand has stepped down and played some inside linebacker for us and insert. They played really well, and then on the back end we're playing well. I mean, it's just a total team effort defensively, and Coach Nesmith has done an amazing job with this bunch. I think it's his best coaching job by far to this date.
We talked about the hitting going on, and I'll tell you, we know those four guys up front, they just own the line of scrimmage and nothing really goes on around them. But your linebackers will definitely thump you. And if somebody wants to get around the corner, we got a secondary that'll come up and hit you as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're playing fast. That's the key to defense, playing fast, not thinking, knowing how to line up, knowing your reads, using your eyes to get your primary read, and then finding green grass and getting to the football. And our guys are having a lot of fun on defense. So, it's nice as a head coach and an offensive coordinator to know that you're dependable on that side of the football. So, we didn't have to punt but one time the other night, and that was, and then we ended up, it wasn't a fake, but we had a bobble snap.
There's your answer, Chester.
That
was one of my questions,
yeah,
Coach.
we never would have faked a punt up that much, but it just happened. And I told the coach after the game, hey, we didn't fake that punt. It just happened, and he understood. But we were on fire. We were just on fire offensively.
Yeah, we felt like we did not feel like it was a fake. We wanted to ask you about that, get that clarity on that. But it was an outstanding play. And I want to go back to just a minute earlier. I was talking to Coach D. We were talking to Coach D just a minute ago. After the touchdown, we drove the ball and dominated the line of scrimmage from the offensive side. Give the ball back to them, and Kyle Hand makes a great interception. And to me, it was almost like a dagger. It's like the shift there in momentum and emotion was impactful to us. We felt it.
Yep, and we'd worked on that route combination all week. They were going to take their inside receiver and run a little dig route, little hook route, and Kyle robbed it and made a great play and got down to about their 5-yard line. So yeah, that was huge. That was right after we scored our first touchdown.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and it really took the life. It just seemed like it deflated the Banks guys so much, and then we just kind of did what we wanted. The first quarter went on forever. We were just running the ball and just dominating.
Yeah, I was enjoying it.
We loved it. It was interesting. And I think, Chester, our halftime score was
55 to 19. No,
it's 12.
55 to 12.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. We may need to get another digit on the scoreboard.
Well, 32 points in a quarter is a lot, too, that first quarter.
It was real. And, your running backs have done a great job. We picked the offensive line and the tight end and the wideouts for the blocking aspect of that game. That doesn't diminish the outstanding job. Your quarterback played great. Your two running backs played great. Everybody on the offense played great. We just felt like the offensive line dominated Banks the entire game.
Yeah, there's no question.
Nobody was able to really do anything. They could not run against our defense because of that defensive line. And the offensive line made the same statement in our minds right back to them.
Absolutely. And, it doesn't work the other way around. Your running backs can't have a great night if your offensive line doesn't play well.
Right.
But if your offensive line plays well, you give, no matter who's running the football, you give yourselves a chance to win. We just happen to have two dynamic players at the tailback position that are eating. They're eating well every Friday. They're running the ball really well, and it's really. I don't feel like there's any drop off with either one of them coming.
No, you can substitute, pull one in, pull one out, and we call their names the wrong time all the time because they look so similar. The result's the same. They're scoring touchdowns.
Well, we also talked about the speed on the corners to me, and it's just like our guys, when they get the ball, hit that corner with so much quickness. I mean, that initial burst, and then and Jacob just has that long speed to go along with it. And Eli comes in and does the same thing. So along their coaching, when they're getting this direction, they are absolutely playing it, in my mind, really well because that quickness is dominating defenses. Nobody can get to them.
Yeah. Well, our offensive line is giving them, an available hole at the line of scrimmage and then a lot of the rest is on them. And they don't run with any fear.
No.
You know, I mean, they're fearless with the football. They're almost seeking out contact at times.
Well, you'll see as we watch some of that film that there were a lot of big hits on the sideline from our guys to defenders. And I just don't remember maybe one play where a guy went down with one guy tackling him. There's a lot of punishment being given out. And just so you know, I talked to Coach Jackson for about 10 minutes at the board meeting Monday night, trying to figure out the trap and the pull scheme. I'm about a third of the way of understanding. I did figure out that the plug is Eli. Now I know what the plug is. So he's going to help me get this figured out. So maybe by the end of the year, I'll actually know what we're doing when we pull and trap.
Yeah, well, we've migrated to a 12 personnel look a lot the last couple of games, and I feel like we're really starting to hone in on who we are, what makes us best. And what I mean by 12 personnel, that we'll have one back and two tight ends on the field with Ryan Smith and Eli Horton. One's just got his hand on the ground and the others doesn't. But those guys both complement our 5 offensive linemen in the fact that they block their tails off.
Well, we saw, and Chester and I both commented on this, we saw people on the ground. We saw people on their backs and on the ground.
Yeah.
The blocking was fierce. I mean, we really, Ryan Smith just, I thought he did some really nice stuff getting outside and blocking people to the ground. And it went that way across the board. I thought every one of your guys blocked well.
Yeah, I tell you what, too, when you're on the sideline and you got to worry about your kids taking their kids over to the sideline and blocking them into you, you got a good thing going on.
A little speed coming.
And one time Ryan Smith dumped a kid on our sideline, and I had to dodge him. And I was like, whoa. It reminded me of a movie you might see on The Blind Side or something, you know?
Well, we felt like really the game was well in hand early. I think that as I go back to that interception, it's almost like just we were going to play well. I know that the switch came on and everybody. It goes back to your conversation about that pregame feeling. And I remember as a player sometimes you warm up well, you feel loose, the air's a little cooler, and it's almost like it just gives you a little gas. I mean, you're ready to go. You're ready to put the pedal down.
Yep.
So,
Yep, no doubt. So it was a great night, but we got to turn the page now.
Right.
We got a Bessemer team, and I know nobody's going to listen to what I got to say, but I think they have the potential to be better than Banks was, even though they lost to Banks. They got a quarterback that can really get it going, throws the ball well. He was a backup at Vestavia Hills last year. They got some receivers that can run, and they got a tight end that can run and block and catch really well. I just think they're a dangerous team. They have not played their best football yet, and I hope they don't tomorrow night. I hope they wait a week to play their best football.
Yeah, I caught a little glimpse of some of their action earlier in the year. Not much, though. I couldn't really tell much about them, but, that's something we were going to ask you, are you more worried about their passing attack or their rushing attack, as an element to maybe catch us on our heels a little bit?
Yeah, well, it stays the same every week for us, Chester. Stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. Okay? Stop the run and then deal with the pass. Right. Be sound in the pass game. If they catch the ball, let's get them on the ground and play again. It's really hard to win a high school football game. It's really hard to win a college football game. It's really hard to win a professional football game if you're one-dimensional, whether it's run or pass.
Absolutely.
So make them one-dimensional. They'll make mistakes, hopefully, in the pass game. And let's be able to run the ball ourselves, and that's the formula for success for us.
Yep. So as we look a little bit further, I know you don't want to look too further down the road, but just got to ask you this question. We're going to be getting into some region play when we come back from the bye, 3 games in a row. Yep. Which one of those teams that you see have the most potential to be maybe a little speed bump along that path?
Yeah, I haven't really studied those teams a whole lot because we got an off week next week. We'll probably put our eyes on them more. All 3 games carry equal significance to me. I mean, you just play your best and you want to win all 3 because we only got 1 road game left for the rest of the year, and I want to keep it that way. I don't want to go on the road on the playoffs unless we're going to play for a state championship in Crampton Bowl and Montgomery. So we'll finish up this week. We've had a good week of practice. Kids have practiced hard. They've responded. Hopefully we'll play well tomorrow night. We're back at home in front of our people. Next week we'll take Monday and Friday off. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll get back to the basics of who we are, kind of identify what we can get better at, and then we'll get ready for the home stretch.
We talked to Coach D about this just briefly, and I wanted to bring it up to you as well. Your team is playing well. You're playing well in all facets of the game. As a head coach, how do you keep those guys grounded in practice and looking at tomorrow night? Because Banks is gone. Banks is behind us. We have no points on the board, and we've got to go play Bessemer.
Yeah.
How do you get those guys who are playing really well to think like that?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts at practice. You demand that they practice hard. You don't, as a coach, they're going to take on your persona, your character, the things that are important to you. And, we've won enough games around there to know that we don't live off the previous game.
Right.
And then we preach that every day to them. I think it's important that you talk to your team in realistic fashion and say, hey, okay, this is where we are. This is where we want to be. And we've kind of drawn a chart out for us that we want to get here, and we're still somewhere on the ladder, the rungs of the ladder. And if we don't take the next rung with both feet and both hands, then we're not going to be able to get to the top of the ladder when we want to. We've got to improve every week if we want to be the team we want to be that has a chance to win a state championship.
So as I was talking to Coach D in our earlier session, I was talking about upside. So that what you just explained to me says you do see upside. You do see improvement across the board, and you're gonna demand that we do. We're gonna go that extra step.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm learning. I'm still learning some things about our team. We want to be a little more wide open throwing the football. We want to be able to, it may be bubble screens, it may be slants, it may be slow screens, it may be fast screens. We want to be able to throw the ball down the field and take shots and protect it and know that we're going to get it off. We're not going to get sacked. We're not going to throw an interception. We'll have a chance to make a big play. But that's something that our team has to earn trust for me as a play caller. If it's something that we can't execute on a daily level at practice, then it's not something that I feel comfortable with calling on Friday night.
And that makes perfect sense to me. You're going to want to see it. You're going to want to see that execution before you go out and put that into the game plan or into the game. Coach, we're the fifth game of the year is behind us. I mean, we're really midway of this season. I think the team's playing well. I think we're in really good shape. I know every game from you guys as a coaching staff is going to be one at a time, and I appreciate that and I understand it. I sense this team has something about them that is a unity and kind of a controlled ferociousness. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if I'm selling myself on that, but every week I seem to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited about our team right now. I mean, like I told you at the outset, last Friday was a lot of fun. That's what football is about for these young men, for us coaches, for us together. We want to have fun in companionship, playing the game. I think we got good chemistry.
I agree.
And chemistry is not something you can put in a bottle and just pour it out when you want to, okay? Do the kids work hard? Do they genuinely like being around one another, whether it's at school or whether it's at practice or whether it's in the locker room? Do they genuinely like to practice football? And I think our guys do. They had fun. Coach probably had one of his best defensive practices of the year to yesterday. And the guys were just running all over the place.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
They understand that, we can't be complacent because that's the easiest thing to be in life is complacent.
Well, we have 5 games to go. We have to win our region, and then when we win our region, we'll worry about the other stuff. That's what I think I see you guys doing, and I think this team understands that. Just getting away from football, I know that we had talked briefly about we've had an awful lot of help around the building by a new student family. And I know you want to just briefly mention, you're going to do some stuff tomorrow night, but I want us to mention it here tonight too.
Yeah. Well, in the 10 years that I've been here, our campus has really seen a lot of improvements athletically. There's been a lot of changes, and it's something that I've always wanted was to have somewhere to practice, to give us more space on our campus. And our campus is pretty hilly and up and down, so there's not a lot of flat places on it. And this past summer, when we had our preseason meeting, I mentioned that my dream would be to have a practice field for our kids to practice on and stay off the game field, stay off the baseball field, have somewhere our PE classes can go to get off of there. And we had a family, a brand new family at our school, the Watleys, Max and Rachel Watley. And they called me the next day and said, hey, we want to help. And I didn't realize they really wanted to help at the level that they wanted to help at, but they did. It was just a blessing from God. They're really humble people. They don't really even want a lot of recognition, but we're going to recognize them next Friday at the game. Just people that are willing to take their time and their money, that they do this for a living, but they've built an exceptional practice field for us at the top of the school, 100 yards. It's a regulation field. They graded it off. They planted it in Bermuda grass, and we need some rain, so pray for rain, by the way.
We do need rain.
And then below the baseball field, they made another grass field that we can use as a multi-purpose field for practicing baseball or parking cars, and, things like that. So their two boys play junior high for us, and they really fit well into our school, and they're glad to be a part of the family. They're enjoying it.
Well, I certainly support that, and I know the board supports that as well. We're very appreciative. I look forward to meeting them, getting to know them a lot better, but outstanding effort, and we really appreciate their hard work.
Yeah, the campus looks great. We pull in there, you take that left coming off 431.
Yeah.
That practice field up there looks great. Can't wait to see that in full grass. And then as you look to the east out of the press box, you see some growth out that way. So it's exciting.
And now we want a multi-purpose building on the end with an indoor turf field. It doesn't have to be full. It can be 30 yards. So if anybody that's interested in coming through on that, we welcome your donation. We'll make it a tax write-off. And
we certainly do appreciate those kind of donations.
Yeah.
And we love to have people support us and help us like that. And it's just, there's so much work that goes into running this school. And you see it, I know, and we certainly see it. And people are just so generous and so good, certainly to us and our endeavors. We really appreciate all our support. Coach, thank you so much for being here tonight. I always learn things from you. I always enjoy talking to you. Good luck tomorrow night. I know we'll be ready to play, and we'll just see what we can do with Bessemer tomorrow night.
Yeah, should be exciting.
Yeah.
Glad to be at home. I know you guys will be pumped up, and the weather's going to be nice.
Right.
And just remember, it's great to play for the C and the A.
Thank you, Coach. We'll be right back, folks.
Craving some Mexican food? Do not think about it twice. Come visit us at Monument number 3, located Highway 77, 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama. We have the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, farm special, north specials, share specials, delicious salsa, the best salsa in Chambers County. Do not think about it, and also can meet the Chihuahua, Monument number 3.
Farmers and Merchants Bank, established in 1934, is your friendly hometown bank. With 3 convenient locations in Dadeville, Hughley, and beautiful Lafayette, Alabama, Farmers and Merchants is ready to serve your personal and business banking needs. Great rates, great service. Farmers and Merchants is ready to serve. Give them a call at 334-864-9941. Farmers and Merchants Bank.
All right, folks, and welcome back here to the
Craving
final
some
segment here
Mexican food?
at the Chambers Academy Sports Live Coaches Show with Jason Allen. It's sponsored by Farmers and Merchants Bank. Had a great conversation going over some numbers from last week. Some impressive numbers there. Look forward to putting those up on the board tomorrow night as well. Great conversation with Coach D and Coach Allen about how they saw the game and how the kids reacted to the environment up there at Banks and up there at Mountain Brook High. So glad that the kids learned a lot up there and gained some more confidence as we get into the second half of the season. It's amazing. We're at the midway point. Feels like yesterday we were just getting this season underway. But, hey, we're halfway through it. Rebels are looking good, and should be a great time tomorrow night over at Torbert Allen Field. So make sure you get your tickets and head on over there at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Well, we learned there's going to be mental toughness. Last week has passed. We're going to go play tomorrow night. We're going to play not in concert with last week's game. We're going to come out and play our game tomorrow night against Bessemer. And that's what I always expect our guys to do and our coaches to get them ready to go do. So, folks, we've got one more bit of business here to do. We're going to recap. It was incredibly difficult after the Banks game to do our players of the game choices.
Yeah.
I always want to reiterate that because there are just so many guys who played really well on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball. Our offensive players of the game were the offensive line, our tight ends, and our wideouts because the line of scrimmage belonged to those guys, and the downfield blocking belonged to those guys. It was really an incredible display. On the defensive side, it was just as tough. I mean, we came up with Ryan Smith because Ryan did a great job. He had a sack, and he also had a punt block, and that was a really big key moment in the game. But when we go to our final installment, which is our impact player, you and I have talked about it a couple times. Banks came out and threw a 78-yard touchdown. We methodically drove the field. Banks got the ball back with, I'm sure, the mindset of we're going to match that too.
Right.
They didn't get a chance to match that because Kyle Hand stepped up and made a great interception. And we felt like that was the most impactful play in that early going. So our impact player of the game is Kyle Hand. Kyle, congratulations. Great
Congratulations,
job.
Kyle.
We had so many plays that were just outstanding. We love it when it's this tough. I think the coaches like it when it's this tough for us. So our guys do a great job across the board. We'll get ready to play Bessemer tomorrow. You and I will be there.
Yep.
We're excited to go there. We hope all you guys will join us there. And if you can't, look us up here on YouTube. And remember, hit the follow button. I think you always
make sure
say.
you hit the subscribe button so
Subscribe.
you're notified of everything we're doing. Today we had 2 volleyball games down at Hooper.
Yep.
Got those notifications, jumped on there and watched a little Lady Rebel volleyball, which was good. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube and also like the Facebook page and share it with all your friends. And reminder that there is a button on the Facebook page. You don't even have to log on to YouTube. Click it, says watch now. It takes you right to
the game.
our YouTube page. So it's easy peasy. So get in there and let everybody know where it's at. And, get in there and watch these kids. They work hard every week out there honing their craft. And, it's just a great privilege that we get to go out there and showcase them every week. And we truly enjoy the opportunity to share what's going on at CA with everybody.
Well, we appreciate all our sponsors. We appreciate Monty Albon. We appreciate the guys being here, the coaches and the players. I certainly appreciate you being here. It was a fun night again. And we'll just do it. We won't do it next Thursday night. We'll have our bye week. We'll be off next Thursday. And then we'll come back and see where we are in the season after that game.
That's right. But, hey, tomorrow night, focus on tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Torbert Allen Field. Get down there and support your Chambers Academy Rebels. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Torbert Allen Field.
Thanks, Chip.
Craving some Mexican food? Do not think about it twice. Come visit us at Monument number 3, located Highway 77, 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama. We have the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, farm specials, north specials, sherry specials, delicious salsa, the best salsa in Chambers County. Do not think about it, and also come